Hi guys, and welcome to Learn Extra Live, grade 11s. Welcome. As you can see, I've got Craig, Daniel, no wait, it's Peter standing next to me here for today's show. So Pete, mixed exercises. What are we talking about today?
Craig, Daniel, what are you drinking in here? How scary is that? Guys, my name's Peter.
I'm
Welcome
trying to keep
back.
it loose. I'm trying to keep it fun.
As are you. Folk, it's Thursday, and Thursday means mathematical literacy time, which is absolutely fantastic. Grade 11s today, we're going to be looking at finance questions, so you stay tuned with us. And if grade 12s, if you're out there watching, always remember what we say to you every single week. Grade 12 work also incorporates grade 11. So if you're in grade 12 and you've just turned on, don't you dare turn off. You stay with us and watch as well. All right, so grade 11, we're going to be looking at finance. I'm going to go over to the board and get ready.
Before you go, this is going to work a little bit differently. I want you to have a look at this. This is Ashworth. Ashworth has said, don't tell Peter it's from me, but I just want to show Peter something on the screen. Guys, don't you forget to join us on facebook.com/learnextra. Also chat to us on Twitter @learnextra. My name is Indiana, and I'm here to be answering all of your questions. Don't forget that this community is for you. So if you do see a question that you are wondering about, help each other out, help other mindsetters out. That's what we're about. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to send it over to Pete. Pete, take it away.
All right, folk, we live in a technological era where nowadays computers are becoming a huge thing in schools, okay? And we're going to look at an example now because some schools have been looking at the whole prospect of introducing computers and having certain little tablets and little computer screen things. I don't even know what you call them. Indiana, you know all
Tablets.
these things. I don't actually know. But basically, they reckon you can get a funny little computer screen thing and put textbooks on it and put all your resources on this thing. And it saves you buying a textbook. Ooh, okay. So what we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to investigate, is the good old-fashioned way of teaching, in other words, having a textbook in front of you, something tangible that you can turn the pages, okay? Is that better than the new technological way of having all your textbooks and everything on a funny little screen that you read, and then apparently you can also flip the pages by turning, I don't know what you do, but let's discover that. So let's read our questions straight away. A technology company wants to promote the use of tablet computers to your principal. The company claims that purchasing a tablet computer for every grade 11 learner will save the school money on printing tests and exams. In addition, tablet computers can be used to store notes, presentations, and used to access the internet too. Let us explore whether this is a good idea or not. Okay, so there on your screen, you can see that we have this funny looking little gadget. I remember good old days when we had a computer, and it was like big and bulky and was on your desk, and it had a funny little thing that was on the floor, and you turned the button on there, and then you turned the button on the screen. And that kind of computer made sense to me. And then they brought in this funny little thing called a laptop. And a laptop is that funny little computer that you carry around with you, and you can put it down and forget it and get it lost, and insurance won't pay you out because you were stupid, and all kinds of weird and wonderful things. But the technology is amazing. And when you think about the good old days when I was just a wee little kid, I mean, computers didn't exist. How scary is that? I remember, in fact, Indiana, being in grade 12. Okay. Now we're going all the way back to 1985. How scary is that?
I love it when adults say, I remember. That's my best. I remember. How many times have you heard your parents say that? Carry on.
At least we remember. Okay. So I remember quite clearly in 1985, I went to a government school, which was absolutely phenomenal in Durban. Okay. Loved my school. And I remember in 1985, we got computers. And these computers arrived in boxes, okay? And unfortunately, we didn't have a teacher who knew what was going on with these funny computer things. So for the first 6-7 months, they just stayed in boxes in a room that had burglar guards around it. And we all thought, whoa, there's something very, very smart in that room. And towards the end of my matric year, okay, I remember walking into the computer room, and there were computers set up. And a teacher saying to me, Peter, won't you help me just turn off the computers quickly because I've got to go home. And I remember so clearly. Now, in those days, you didn't go to that little start button at the bottom, click on it, and say log off or shut down. The way you turned off a computer was you just switched it off at the wall. That's how it worked, okay? And I remember so clearly walking up and going and reaching out to touch the switch on the wall to turn off the computer. And as I reached out and pushed that switch, the computer shut down, and I thought, whoa, my education is made, okay? And that was my experience with computers when I was at school. I switched one off, okay? Now, you guys at your schools, hopefully, we are developing and getting more and more technological, okay? But let's have a look at our question. Now, the average exam paper at your school consists of 5 pieces of photocopied paper. The average grade 11 student writes approximately 11 examination papers in November. Now, here's my question. Calculate how many pieces of paper will be used on each grade 11 pupil who will be writing examinations this November. Okay, now one thing I'm going to need here is I'm going to need Indiana's assistance, because throughout this question there are a whole lot of little parts and we've got to keep referring back to our answers. Okay, so Indiana, you with us today?
Yes, yes,
okay.
You've got my undivided attention, Peter.
All right.
I am with you.
That's exactly what she said the other day, and we got nothing out of her. But let's try anyway. Right, here we go. So how many pieces of paper will each grade 11 use? So we've got our grade 11s. Okay, so each pupil, we know, is going to write approximately 11 examinations. So we've got 11 exam papers, and each exam paper, we see it here, consists of 5 pieces of paper. So we've got 11 exams, 5 pieces of paper, which means in total, each grade 11 kid is going to use 55 pieces of paper. Okay? Oh, that's quite a bit of paper. All right? And I'm sure that costs quite a lot as well. And I bet that's going to be our next question. So, Indiana, first thing that you're typing up there, every student needs 55 pieces of paper. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. She says she has it. Let's see.
It's true.
Let's move on. Next question says this. A box, and let's take it right up here. A box of photocopy paper costs 180 Rand for a box of 500 sheets. Calculate the value of paper that is used for one of the average grade 11 learners to write her examinations. Okay, so we know a whole box of paper, and in one ream of paper there are 500 sheets. Okay, so 500 sheets cost a total of 180 Rand. Right. We want to know how much is 55 sheets of paper gonna cost us. Now, I've said this so often throughout the year, okay, and I'm gonna say it again, because guys, if you remember this, oh my goodness, you almost got the answer ready. And this is what you've got to know. The number 1 is critical to mathematical literacy. Okay? So we know the cost of 500 sheets. Before we even try and think of finding out the cost of 55 sheets, let's try and find out the cost of 1 sheet of paper. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to say, right, 500 sheets cost 180 Rand. So 1 sheet is going to cost what? Now, using a different color, let's have a look at this. How did I get that 500 to become 1? I said 500 divided by 500, and that gives me my 1 sheet. Now, what I do to the one side, I've always, ek moet altyd it do to the other side. Okay? Have to do that, folk, right? It only seems fair. I've used this illustration before, now I'll use it again. I remember as a little kid going home, and my mom and dad sitting me down and saying, my boy, we're giving your brother extra pocket money. Oh, and that excited me. Not because he was getting extra pocket money, because I knew if he got extra pocket money, so would I. Okay? And so they sat me down and said, we're giving your brother some extra pocket money, and we are also giving you extra pocket money. And that kind of made sense, okay? Because what you do to the one son, you do to the other son. What you give the one son, you give the other son, right? Imagine if they sat me down and said, we want you to know that we're giving your brother extra pocket money. And that's all we want you to know. You can go and play now, okay? I'd be absolutely devastated. In fact, I'm getting a bit of deja vu. That actually did happen, I think. All right, but let's not go there. So how do we get 500 to be 1? We divide it by 500. What we do on the one side of any equation, we've got to do on the other side. So I'm going to divide my 180 by 500 as well. So one sheet of paper is actually 180 Rand divided by 500. Now, do I need to work that out? Well, actually, I don't need to work that out right now. I'm going to just keep it as 180 over 500. So if I do work it out, I'm going to get some weird and strange answer. So let's just leave it as a fraction, and we'll use that whole fraction in our next step. And what's our next step? Well, we don't want to know the cost of one sheet of paper. We want to know the cost of 55 sheets of paper. So how do I get that 1 to become 55? I'm now going to multiply by 55. So we're going to say, right, 1 times 55 gives me 55 sheets. Well, if I multiply this step by 55, I've got to multiply that step by 55 as well. So I'm also going to multiply it by 55. So I've got 180 Rand divided by 500. That's the cost of one sheet of paper. Multiplied by the 55, because I need 55 sheets of paper for my exam. And let's see the kind of answer we're going to end up getting here. All right, so we said we've got, and let's just move our calculator out the way here. We've got 180 divided by 500. We're going to multiply that now by the 55 sheets that we need, equals, and our answer is going to give me 19 Rand 80. So my answer is 19 Rand, let's get a pen, shall we? 19 Rand and 80 cents. That's the amount of paper, or the value of the paper that every student in grade 11 is going to use just to write his examinations. Okay? Indiana, you got that?
Say again.
19 Rand, 18.
Got it.
We just got to wake her up a little bit. I don't know what it is. It's a bitterly cold day here in Johannesburg today. We've had rain, we've had hail. It's been unbelievable. We've had a huge storm. And you know, whenever it gets cold and wet, all you want to do is get in your bed and cuddle up and go to sleep. And unfortunately, there's no bed here, but it looks like Indiana's going to sleep anyway. All right, let's move on, shall we?
Peter.
So, our next question now says this. Each piece of paper also costs 20 cents to photocopy, right? This includes both sides and the hire of the photocopy machine. Using this information and your other answers, how much does it cost for the examination question papers for each grade 11 learner for these November exams? All right, so we've got 11 pieces of paper. Every piece of paper costs us 20 cents to photocopy. So that's the cost of the photocopying alone. Got that? But then we've got to add the cost of the paper for those exams. Got it? Right. Now, I just want to clear up here. We said that there are 11 sheets of paper. There actually aren't. Eh? How many sheets of paper did we use? We used 55. Do you remember that? Was that what we got?
Yeah, it was 55.
Okay. So we got 55 sheets of paper. Oops, let me just get rid of that. I don't know why that's doing that. So there were 55 sheets of paper. So we got 55 sheets of paper, right? Multiplying by 20 plus the cost of that, the paper itself, which was what? Can you remember?
19 Rand 18?
19 Rand 80.
18. Unless I heard you wrong.
You probably heard me very wrong. Let's go back and have a look, shall we? So it was 19 Rand 80.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter.
Okay. 19 Rand 80. So let's do that. 19 Rand 80. And now we're going to just do all this on our calculator. So on my calculator, I've got 19 Rand 80 plus I'm adding the 55 times the 0.20. Close brackets equals, and I get an answer now of 30 Rand and 80 cents. So 30 Rand and 80 cents. Okay. That's the cost of printing all the exams as well as photocopying those exams for one student. 30 Rand, 80 cents. Got that? Happy?
Got that.
Right. Let's move on. Now, the next part of the question says this. The paper and the printing costs for the November exam represents approximately 8% of all the notes and test costs for the year. Use your answer to question 1.13, which we've just done, which Indiana has saved for us and knows that very well, to work out the cost of notes and tests per grade 11 student. Okay, so first thing, 8% of the total cost is what it costs for us to print the November exams. And that cost came to?
That cost came to 30 Rand and 80 cents.
30 Rand and 80 cents. Brilliant. Now, folk, if 1% costs 30 Rand and 80 cents, if 8% costs 30 Rand and 80 cents, what does 1% cost? Okay? So what is 1% going to cost? Now, how did I get that 8 to become 1? I divided it by 8. Agreed? So what am I going to do here? I'm going to do exactly the same and divide that by 8. So I'm going to say, right, I've got 30 Rand and 80 cents divided by 8. That's 1% of the total cost of photocopying the entire year's work. All the tests, all the notes, all the worksheets. Okay? How much does that cost? 30 Rand, 80 divided by 8. We're not going to work that out now because we're going to get a funny, horrible little answer. Now, what we're wanting to do is say, well, if 1% costs that amount, how much is the full 100% costing? Okay? Now, how did we get the 1 to 100? We times by 100. What am I doing this side? I'm going to multiply by 100. So I've now got my 30 Rand, 80 cents, divided by 8, and I'm now going to multiply it by 100, and that'll give me the cost of printing all my notes, all my tests, all my exams, all my worksheets. Let's do it quickly, and then we're going to take a break. Right. So on that, here we go. We're going to say, right, I have got, let's just get rid of that. I've got 30 Rand and 80 cents. Dividing it now, sorry, folk. Let's go again. Fraction button, 30 Rand, 0.80. Divide that by 8, and then we're going to multiply it by 100. Equals 385. Okay, so 385 Rand is what it costs the school to print notes, exams, worksheets, everything, even tests, for one grade 11 student for an entire year. Okay. Indiana.
Let's take a break.
And then we'll come back and investigate.
Of course. I've already posed the question to the learners. What do you guys think? Do you think books or tablets? Let's get this discussion going before we even work it out. Okay, Mbali, I see you. Takalani, how are you? And Francois? How do I say that name? Francois. Francois, I've got my producer shouting in my ear, and I'll be reading your comment when we come back from this break.